Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket nines. Under the gun raises 2.5 big blinds. I have 3,000 hands on him. He plays 27-15. I'm estimating he's about 20% raise first in. You can see that he does play position a little bit more. It's about 22% is how much he raised first in early position, 24 in mid position. His attempt to steal is 36%. Definitely decent hands, but I still think it's a little wide, especially for under the gun. So this looks like 22% here. This is probably about right. Some suited aces, pocket pair, suited connectors, broadways, and so forth. And then it's going to fold me in the hijack. My hijack range is going to be somewhat tight against him. This is 3-bet or call range. Nines are kind of at the bottom of it. I think we could definitely 3-bet here. If we 3-bet, you could see the fill-in folds to 3-bet about 30% of the time. If we go back and look and say, okay, well, if he has 22% and if he folds 30%, that means he's continuing with about 14%. So, like all of those hands that disappear, right? You could say about those hands are probably what he would fold. And then he would continue with the rest, along with like 4-betting probably kings plus ace king. I'm sure we probably have some notes on him. 3-bet on button with 8-6 dimes. I mean, he could be aggressive. He could play some players. I think overall you can see he's a winning player, at least out of all the hands that I have. So I think we could just call here, look to see what comes up, how we can play post flop. Obviously, we're not going to try to set mine. We're going to look for spots where the board looks good, hits our calling range, and play against him because he will have some big cards. And hopefully we can induce folds, or we do flop a big hand. So I did call, and then villain 6 calls. Out of 10 hands, he's playing 60-30. I think he's going to be pretty wide. I just said here's like 40% calling range. We could get rid of 3-bets and say, okay, well, kings plus ace kings probably what he would 3-bet. Maybe even queens plus ace queen to kind of get rid of that very top. He's going to be but overall he's going to be very, very loose. The blinds fold. All right, so we have our ranges. We go into the flop of Jack 3-5. Now this board is a board that kind of hits some calling ranges. I'm gonna have some jacks in my range, definitely. There are suited aces out there with the hearts. I've got nines, mid pocket pair, backdoor heart draw. So what do we do? What's our plan here? I think this might be a spot. I said I looked at this spot to see is this a spot to raise on the flop with our mid pocket pair. We're in position. I think raising versus this player is going to apply pressure on villain 6. If he comes in, you could assume that he's going to hit at least the jack, maybe also the flush, the heart. If we raise and then face a 3-bet by villain 3, he probably has us with an overpair. Probably at the worst situation, he probably has an overpair. I think with our raise, we're trying to think we're representing jacks with our raise, but I think we could also be raising with our heart draws, or at least a lot of people would play this with their heart draws as well. I'm not sure if that's the right thing. I think if we raise with heart draws, it's a little too obvious. So if the heart gets there on the turn, I think it gives people a reason to check fold, which might be a reason why you don't raise, but you raise hands like this where you might not have the heart draw. Now that being said, I think if we didn't have the heart, I might have a stronger argument for raising, because if a heart does come on the turn, we've just picked up the flush draw. We've got now, if the heart comes on the river, we have our flush. So villain 3 checks, I'm sorry, villain 3 bets. He bets a little more than half pot. What is he going to be doing that with? His c-bet stats right at like 68%. So I think he's doing this with, your pairs. So I'm even going to say pocket pair below the top card. He's probably betting middle pair. I don't think so. I think he's doing flush draw. He's got gut shots. I'm also going to say that possibly he's going to do this with 2-card backdoor flush draws. Is it going to be with all of them? Maybe not. We could say aces. 5 4 6 5 7 5 7 6 8 6. Maybe because they get all of them kind of have more than just 2-card backdoor flush draw. It also has like backdoor straight draws with a lot of those hands. So I kind of think this is probably decent C betting range. Middle pairs, not so sure. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it increases it a couple percent. So yeah, let's just give him that. I don't think he's just going to be doing this, with all of his hands, though. I think he is going to be a little bit more discriminant on the ranges, and then it's to us. So out of that range, if I raise here, what kind of hands do I think he's going to fold? I think these bottom pairs or the middle pairs are going to probably fold. Probably the pocket pairs under the top card probably going to fold. I think jacks are going to call, over pairs going to call, 2-pair plus is going to call, flush draws calling, gut shot, 2-card backdoor flush draw. So I think we're probably going to get to here. We're starting at 60%. We're dropping down to 47%. So maybe about 25% are going to be folding. We're going to get a fold 25% of the time, maybe, which I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe that's not high enough at this point. I think there might be better opportunities, maybe later on in the hand. So, for example, if a 10 comes on the turn, there's possibility that maybe we could bet raise there, generate even more folds. Because now we're kind of representing, maybe we have 2-pair. If a heart comes and he checks, maybe we could generate even more folds. Maybe we could get him to fold jack with the weak kicker, or at least get him to fold on the river with that. So I'm not entirely set on raising here. I think we could call with our flush draws. I don't think it's really worthwhile to call with our overcards unless they are part of maybe our 2-card backdoor flush draw. Top pair is going to call. I think pocket pair under our top pairs are also going to call. So I think we're kind of getting into the situation where we've got some draws. Let's color code these. We have some pocket pairs. I'd even consider some of these draws as well. Probably more draws than what we have made hands at this point. Although these 8s, 9s, and 10s are also, kind of made hands, you can say. But I think we could definitely call to kind of figure out what is villain going to do. Is there a way that we could kind of take it away from him on the turn? Maybe there isn't. Maybe this is way too of a loose call, because I don't think he's going to be betting with just junk. I mean, he does have 2-card backdoor draws and flush draws and so forth. So I did call, which I think is a little bit better than raising. And then I spiked the 9. This guy folded, so he had such a wide range. He missed the hand so frequently that I do think he's folding a huge percentage of the time. So then the 9 of spades hits, gives us trips. Villain 3 bets about half pot again. What is he going to be doing this with? I think at this point it's going to be top pair plus. It doesn't really improve with his draws. Would he do this with his flush draws, open ender, and the gut shot? Maybe. If he bets 60%, almost 70%, and then in positions fires the turn 40%, out of position still 63%. I think out of position he's still probably firing these draws. In position he probably doesn't. He probably just calls so he could see the river on those. But being out of position, I think he's gonna be aggressive and try to take it down. With if he misses, he's probably not going to be betting on the river. Probably just check fold. So that's 25%. Or about 25% of those draws. I think top pair plus is probably also his bet here. If I raise, so 70%, if I raise here, depending on how much I raise, he's probably calling with the flush draw. Maybe with the open-ended straight draw. Think he folds the gut shot. But I also think his top pair probably calls, especially ace jack and king jack. I think jack 10, jack 8 might find a fold. So I feel like he's going to be calling a very high percentage of time versus my trips. So I think we do raise here, raise to 30. So 3 times his bet. I think that's probably okay. What are we representing? I think at this point we're representing maybe jacks, jack 10, maybe queen jack. We're representing, open ender. That does. I mean, do we have jack 9 in our pre-flop calling range? I don't think so. So I think at this point we're just kind of representing jacks and probably trips, and maybe the flush. Maybe now we're taking it to try to block the flush. I think if I see a raise like this, I'm immediately thinking 2 pair plus, and then I'm looking, well, does he really have 2 pair? Would he have really called with jack 9 or jack 5 or jack 3? No, probably not. So I think I'm going to be leaning towards he's got something, maybe queens, maybe trips, jacks and 9, jacks or 9s or 5s or 3s or something like that. That's kind of my thought here. Because yeah, I mean, if I raise, I think ace jack's probably the only, but why would I? Why would I raise top pair? If I'm ahead, I'm ahead. And then he's gonna call. Would he call? Maybe. Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna say ace jack. Ace jack you can raise. Set you can raise, and then maybe the flush draw. Gut shots call, overcards call, maybe. Or maybe even the flush draw calls, and we use our gut shot, 2-card gut shot, as our bluffing range here. Maybe that's what we do. Something like that. More value. Yeah, if we have the ace of hearts. Nah, probably the ace of hearts we wait. So we do raise. We raise a 30. Villain comes over the top at this point. Once he comes over the top, I do think he's got overpair plus. I'm not sure if he does that with ace jack. I'm going to get rid of all of his draws. His sets would be jacks, 9s, and 5s. We eliminate the 9s because we know that we have them, which sets up queens, kings, aces. That's 18 combos. Jack 9 would be 1 combo that he would have, and the sets we're looking at 6 combos. So he's got 18, 19 to 6. Actually 19, that's 22. So the only trips that beat us is jacks. So I think we have an easy call here. And I think he is looking at overpair or 5s or jacks. I call all in. He calls 5 sucks, but unless he has pocket 5s and hits quads, I mean, so be it. So we ran it twice. Picked up a 5. He had aces, which is one of that overpair when we look at it, 18. So we had it in his range. I don't think he's he's dumping this hand at any point in the hand. And I think, as we look through our hand here, could we have raised? We could have, but I don't think it's optimal versus a player like this. I think if we didn't have the 9 of hearts, we could be raising here, try to get folds from ace king, ace queen. I think that he's betting those, maybe even king queen. Even if he calls, we fire a second barrel, and we could probably get him to fold at that point because we're representing, our jacks. I even think we're raising with jack instead. But once we just call the flop, I think it's harder for us to raise the turn at that point. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you did, look tomorrow for another one.